Your enemy doesn't need weapons. He only needs words. A single phrase spoken with venom can cut deeper than a blade. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. Words only wound the man who cannot master himself. If you are ruled by reaction, you are already defeated. If you control your response, you own the field. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best answer to anger is silence." Yet silence is only the opening move. What follows after silence defines whether you rise above or sink to the same level as the fool who tried to provoke you. Today you'll learn 5 responses sharpened by reason, forged in composure, and lethal to arrogance. Each one strips power from the aggressor and hands it back to you. The third is especially devastating because it forces your opponent to expose their own weakness without you lifting a finger. Listen carefully. Response number 1. That's a strong statement. What evidence supports it? Arrogance survives on vagueness. It thrives when no one dares to question its foundations. When someone throws an insult or a sweeping accusation, most people react emotionally. They defend, they justify, they panic. The Stoic asks for proof. Imagine a workplace argument where a colleague suddenly declares, "Your whole approach is naive." It will never work. Most men would scramble to defend their plan. Instead, you lean back, steady your voice, and say, "That's a strong statement." What evidence supports it? The silence that follows is your weapon. Often, there is no evidence, only bluster. This tactic does not just belong in the office. Picture a heated family argument, a relative throwing the line, "You've always been irresponsible." Instead of denying, you reply calmly, "That's a strong statement." What evidence supports it? Suddenly the weight is no longer on you. They must justify themselves. Epictetus taught us that people are not disturbed by events, but by their judgments about events. When you demand clarity, you force them to reveal that their judgment is shallow. What seemed like a sword stroke becomes a shadow. By asking for proof, you reveal the hollowness of their attack. Response number 2. You've made a valid point. This is my next step. Here lies one of the most counterintuitive moves. Strategic surrender. Weak men cling to excuses when fault is revealed. Strong men own the truth instantly and then convert it into authority. Once in Rome, a senator was accused publicly of mishandling state funds. Instead of denying it, he stood and said, "The accusation is fair." And here is the reform I will introduce immediately. His critics had no ground left. The attack turned into applause. In our lives, the same law applies. Imagine a manager confronting you. You missed another deadline. It's unacceptable. Most men start listing reasons. Lack of support, shifting priorities, technical problems. You look him in the eye and say, "You've made a valid point. This is my next step." Then outline concrete actions. The air shifts. The critic's posture softens. Conflict transforms into cooperation. Seneca said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." This phrase embodies it. You show that your aim is not to protect your pride, but to solve the problem. Your enemy wanted you defensive. Instead, you show maturity, speed, and command. Strategic surrender is not weakness. It is control. Response number 3. That's a bold claim. What convinced you of it? This response is a trap disguised as curiosity. When someone throws provocation, they expect fire in return. You give them a mirror. Centuries ago, Socrates perfected this method. When accused of corrupting the youth, he didn't shout back. He calmly asked questions until his accusers revealed their own ignorance. This response is the modern blade of that same technique. Imagine in a social circle someone sneers, "You don't really know what you're talking about." You're just pretending the crowd tenses, waiting for sparks. You hold your ground, smile faintly, and say, "That's a bold claim." And what convinced you of it? Now the aggressor must reveal their hand. Often they stumble, exposing pettiness, envy, or empty judgment. I watched this once in a university lecture hall. A student mocked the professor, saying, "This theory has no relevance in real life." The professor paused, then replied calmly, "That's a bold claim." What convinced you of it? The student froze, realized he had nothing beyond bravado, and the entire room saw it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This tactic ensures you rise above the mud while forcing them to wallow in it. You do not cut them down. You let them cut themselves. Response number 4. Thanks for telling me directly. Many conflicts are born not from the content, but from the delivery. People lash out because they feel unheard. They expect your defensiveness. You instead disarm them with gratitude. A leader once told me of a general in the army who was confronted angrily by his soldiers about harsh new drills. Instead of dismissing them or defending himself, the general replied, "Thanks for telling me directly." I needed to hear that the men were stunned, their fury dissolved, and they began to discuss solutions rather than rebellion. Apply this in your life. A neighbor complains bitterly. A partner lashes out. A colleague raises their voice. Instead of matching their fire, you say calmly, "Thanks for telling me directly." This breaks the cycle of escalation. Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Gratitude ends hostility and begins alliance. It shows that you are secure enough to take criticism without being shattered. It turns the critic into a collaborator, often against their own expectations. Response number 5. Pause. Noted. I'll keep that in mind. Here is the final strike. A weapon made of silence. There are moments when any reply would only feed the flames. The insult is designed to provoke, to drag you into chaos. In those moments, your pause is the blade, your restraint the shield. Once, during a public debate, a speaker sneered at his rival. "Your lack of education makes your opinions worthless." The rival did not bite. He let silence stretch, then simply said, "Noted. I'll keep that in mind." The aggressor looked small, his venom laid bare. The audience saw the contrast. One man enslaved by impulse, the other sovereign over himself. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." This response embodies mastery. You let their words rot in the air while you rise untouched. These 5 responses share one thread. They keep you in control of yourself while letting others reveal their true character. They are not tricks. They are disciplines. They are the weapons of a man who has mastered himself. The one who shouts exposes his weakness. The one who stays composed reveals his strength. When you ask for evidence, you expose bluster. When you own fault, you turn critics into allies. When you demand reasoning, you force fools into silence. When you thank hostility, you break its teeth. When you pause and dismiss with dignity, you make arrogance collapse under its own weight. Remember, your goal is not to win arguments, but to rule yourself. The Stoics knew that the battlefield is not the tongue of your enemy, but the reaction within your own chest. Control that, and no insult can command you. Your dignity becomes untouchable. Your presence becomes commanding. And arrogance, no matter how loud, becomes powerless. If these 5 responses opened your eyes, subscribe now. Comment below which one struck you the most. Write it. Claim it. Make it yours. Because the next time arrogance comes for you, you will not meet it with anger. You will meet it with composure. And composure always wins.